This is the start of the show where I hear the guests pull up to my driveway. I'm waiting for the car to turn off, and then I'll tap the garage opener. Well, Nancy, I have never been more nervous for a podcast. All right. Are we good? Is that comfortable? You want to? Let me get you another pillow. Hold on. Pause.
Yeah, much better.
As I was saying,
Okay.
I'm very nervous because you've done. What's that?
Did you need to start back up or does it auto?
No. It's how it goes.
Oh, so when you pause,
Yeah.
you don't have to say
So
start?
yeah. I'll chop it up and edit it.
Oh,
And
that's so
but
cool.
I want to include all that stuff.
How
'cause
long is the podcast?
the podcast can typically run for about an hour and a half. It
Oh,
just depends
wow.
on our. It flies by.
Okay.
Because some of the individuals that I have on here are just so interesting. So
Well, ours should be about 10 minutes. Then.
stop. But as I was saying, the reason why I'm so nervous about this is because you've done so much for the Austin music community.
Well, I'm old, so I've been doing it for a long time.
Well, you have some experience, and that's what I'm excited
Yeah.
to talk to you about. But before we begin, first, when you talk on this mic, you kind of have to like really eat
Get it to me.
There you go. That's
Okay.
better. Absolutely.
Okay.
But
Wait,
before we begin,
on the cord.
I got to
Okay.
find out if we can be friends. So, do you
Oh,
prefer do you prefer Whataburger or In-N-Out? Just
Whataburger.
Why?
Because it's Texas.
Oh, okay.
And I've had both, and I like the taste of Whataburger
Okay.
better.
All right. I can accept that answer. Respectable.
Okay.
I'm a big In-N-Out fan just because I come from Southern California,
Oh,
and
well,
that's what
there
I
you
grew up
go.
on. So,
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed when I went there, actually.
what was that?
Wasn't a real, but really my favorite is P. Terry's.
Okay. Got it.
Is that cool?
That's where we can become friends. That's where
Okay.
we can start to see each other's side. I
Okay.
respect that answer
You
as well.
You can tell that I'm a
I'll
appreciator of burgers.
How was your weekend? What'd you get into?
Gosh, that's a good question. I don't even remember. It's over,
Me
so
neither.
it's off my brain.
Yeah.
Today I've had a coffee meeting with Zach from Antone's about some stuff.
Okay.
And then I am doing this, and then I have to take a friend for a CT scan.
Oh,
So
no.
I've got a busy day.
You do have a busy day. So one of the things that I like to do on this podcast is take it all the way back to when you first got into high school. So where were you going to high school?
God.
I know.
I was going to Hillcrest High School in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
Also attended by Derek O'Brien,
Okay.
world famous guitar player,
Awesome.
and some others, but I can't think of who it was. But I grew up in Dallas
Mm-hmm.
and developed a love of music along those lines. Even saw the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's quite impressive.
It was. I was telling this story to a friend of mine. I have two younger brothers
Okay.
that are 6 years younger than I. And on the way to get the tickets at Preston State Bank, I just got my driver's license, and I ran into another car in my parents' car, so that was not off to a good start. Now, my dad used to always say, bad start, good finish, but it wasn't so good because, first of all, I made both of my younger brothers sell their tickets to my girlfriends so we could all go together.
Are you you said your older brothers?
They're younger.
Younger. Okay. So that's
And
what the big sis does.
to this day, 60 years later, one of the brothers still does not let me forget that I made him do that, and he missed seeing the Beatles.
He kind of has a valid point. I
He
mean, at the
does.
time, what was their importance from a musical level?
He was
like,
into music.
oh
Yep.
no. Like as far as the Beatles were they already as popular? As
Oh
they could
yeah,
ever- Okay.
they were like, you couldn't hear the show, anything in the show. The girls screamed the whole show.
Well, then, okay. So was it an enjoyable experience for you?
No. I mean, I could see them up on stage.
And that was
and
it.
they had these pennants, like a football pennant, the
Yeah,
little
yeah.
felt cloth triangles, and they sold them as merch, and each one had a Beatles name on it, like Paul, George, Ringo, John. And the girl behind me was so excited, and she had a Paul pennant, and she kept hitting me in the head with it when she was jumping up and down. That's one of the things I remember, which is unfortunate.
They had. Well, was that the one and only time you saw them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it.
that's not a very well.
Didn't hear them
I think it's a cool experience regardless, just to say you were there. Okay.
Because I can say to young people like you, I saw the Beatles top that.
No, I think you topped everybody with that one. You won in all those conversations. So when did the affinity for music happen?
Well, I married a guy who was in the music business, who was dealing with a lot of blues and soul music. He was a manager. He was not well liked in the music business. I'll just say that. I'm not going to disparage.
Okay.
But anyway, he managed Freddie King.
Oh, okay.
And he also managed a band called the American Blues, which was Rocky Hill, Dusty Hill, and Frank Beard.
Okay.
And Rocky and Dusty went on to hook up with Billy Gibbons and became ZZ Top. And I think Rocky, I don't know what happened to Rocky, but nonetheless... and he also managed a black nightclub in South Dallas called the Central Forest Club. Okay. And I would go to work with him when we have shows or when he'd have shows and saw incredible music. So I have always had an affinity for soul and blues.
Okay. So you made your trek down to UT, correct?
I did.
That's where you went to college.
In 1966,
Okay.
I came to campus for freshman orientation on August 1st when, I can't think of his name, the guy that was on the tower shooting people.
Yeah, wow.
What's his name?
I forgot his name, but I'm very familiar with the story.
Yeah, I was there on campus when that happened.
So was that traumatizing?
Yeah.
That's a stupid question from my perspective.
It was like I was in a surreal movie. It was just bizarre.
Holy man.
Yeah.
And so did that interrupt your idea of wanting to go to UT, or no?
No. I stayed through the whole ordeal, and when they brought his body down from the tower and everything, there was a big crowd that kind of emerged around the plaza there.
Was there any services to help you deal with the trauma that just unfolded?
None that I know. No.
Okay.
Although my mother got her only speeding ticket in her life when she heard it on the radio and was rushing home to see if I had called because no cell phones at that time.
Right. So how did you just give her a call whenever you could?
Yeah, I said, "Hey, Mom, I was just checking to see if I had any mail," so...
what was the media coverage like?
It was
in those days?
Dan Rather, I think, was
right.
doing,
Oh God!
A bunch of serious media coverage.
The godfather of proper news reporting.
I think that was the very first, mass murder, mass killing in the States.
So what were politicians, what were officials saying about this event?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That's like, well, been there, done that.
As the longevity of this country goes on, we kind of forget about those tragedies, and now as we're in this
and now we're
time,
desensitized to it because there's so many.
Yeah, so
it's really unfortunate.
How do you deal with that trauma of not just that situation, but the trauma of the world?
I use a lot of cuss words in reference to the people who are committing it, and they're usually hyphenated. Yeah. So I just am hoping to have some justice in the world and some peace.
Yeah.
Without the tricks all behind it.
Well, yeah, I just didn't know we were going to get into such heavy topics so soon. So forgive me for my stammering, but how did you create, this not music industry. What was the music industry at the time here in Austin during the 1960s?
Well, I moved here. I wasn't here long in the 60s. I came in August of 66 and I left in mid semester the following year to get married to the guy in the music business. I wasn't here long.
What did you come to school for?
I was either going to major in special education because I had worked with handicapped and retarded children and adults at a summer camp, or radio and TV, which is quite a difference.
Yeah.
Music industry. I figured working with the first group would be good background for the second group,
Absolutely. And so after you left Austin, where did you go?
Dallas.
Dallas.
To
So you're
Dallas.
back to
and
back
I was
home.
married for 8 years and then got divorced.
Okay.
Then I moved to New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay.
Yeah.
Why New Orleans?
I was working for Columbia Pictures in their distribution
Wow.
office, not
Okay.
the production part.
Right.
We sold the movies to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
theaters, and they reopened the branch in New Orleans, and they transferred me there.
Okay.
And I was a single mom. My daughter was 5, and I went. It was great because New Orleans is like
It's a
Great.
it's a great city.
Yeah.
Music, food, everything. So when did you get back to Austin?
I came back in 1983
Okay.
and been here ever since.
I was just
before you were born.
I was just a twinkle in my father's eye.
I
Not
know.
even that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your parents probably weren't even married then.
No, they were married. Yeah. Dad's 84 now,
Oh, wow.
and mom's 83, soon to be 84.
You must have been a late in life baby.
I was a what's it called? A miracle baby.
Miracle
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. Later found out it was just a surprise, but it only took me 34 years to realize, the math just kind of like, wait a minute, guys, that wasn't a miracle. Dad was just having fun.
You made a mistake. Oh.
That too, but yeah, I call myself a miracle. I am.
I think you are.
Yeah.
For sure. So I moved here, and I knew one person, a guy that I used to date when I lived in Dallas. And
Okay.
He was a traveling salesman, and I told him I wanted to come here, send me the classified ads. It's a whole long story, but basically I came here and I got a job.
Yeah.
But he traveled so much, he said, you can stay in my guest room because I'd rather have someone in my house while I'm gone.
Yeah.
So we did. He lived in the Crestview area, and then I got a job and had some income and got my own place.
Okay.
Well, for me and my daughter.
Got it. So when did you really dive into the music aspect of Austin?
Well, when I moved here, I was in sales, and I hooked up with this group of women that turned into the Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And because of that, I was the program chair, and we did, I planned the monthly events, our guest speakers. And the one that sticks out in my mind is Ann Richards. And this was before she was governor. This is when she was county commissioner, but she came and spoke. And the one thing that I always remember from what she said was she talked about power. And she said, power is not you standing in front of a TV camera speaking and putting forward your thoughts or being on the front page of the newspaper. She says, it's when you can pick up the phone, get something done, and no one knows that you did it. So I've always remembered that.
Okay. And
But
go ahead.
then one of the ladies that was on the board with me, Jean Partain, who was really smart, we decided to put on a fundraiser for our organization, and we did it in 1988 and 89, and it was 2 consecutive years, and it was called A Tribute to Austin's Women in Music. And we had a house band, and then we had, I think the first year we had 24 different female musicians, and each one had one song, and the house band would back them up. And the next year I think we had 32. And that's where I met a lot of the women musicians I know today. Like, I'm thinking of all the names, and not one of them comes to mind. Leanne Atherton.
Okay.
It's when I first met Marcia Ball in 1989. And Jean was very wise, and she said, the city's going to start a music commission. You should apply. And I said, what's a music commission? And she told me, and I said, well, how do I do that? And so she told me, and I applied, and I was selected, even though I wasn't in the music business. Mm-hmm. But I started at that time working with Bruce Walensik for the Armadillo Christmas Bazaar,
Right.
selling his old Armadillo posters.
Okay.
And also about that time is when he asked me to start booking the music. Now, all of this is going to be out of sequence because I've done so much, and things pop into my mind,
that's
and I'll
fine,
go,
yeah.
oh yeah, I did that, I forgot, because my brain's kind of like a pinball machine, all over the place.
You're a busy woman. I get it.
Well, so anyway,
Hold that a little closer to your mic.
I started booking the bazaar,
Yeah.
and we had these events, And I applied for the music commission, and I think it was Lee Cook, but I can't remember. One of them said, invited me to be on it. And Townsend Miller, who was a writer, a music writer in town, was on it. And French Smith, who was a promoter and did the event on 6th Street. I can't even remember.
Pecan Street?
Yeah,
Okay.
he did Pecan Street, and he did some music stuff. Rose Reyes was on there, who is now in San Antonio in a big shot with giant noise, and a fabulous person. And Mike Mordecai, who's a big jazz guy in town, and there were a whole bunch of people on it. And we worked on a couple of items. We worked on the Stevie Ray Vaughan Memorial, and with the family, and we came up with a funny story, the Live Music Capital of the World slogan, which I'm trying to remember. Oh, I remember. There was a musician who was named Lillian Stanfield, and she was great. She had this great blues voice, and unfortunately she's passed away, but her music was awesome. And she called me one day and said, I just came back to town from Houston, and I saw the Austin City Limits sign at the part, coming into Austin, and I think we should have Music Capital or something like that. And I said, well, we're having a music commission meeting tomorrow night, and we're having public comments. Why don't you come and talk? So we did. She did, and we took it made a recommendation to council to do that, and then it turned into a whole long process.
Yeah.
But I finally met with Max Knopfziger, and we were talking about it, and he said, well, I think we should do Music Capital of the Universe. And I said, well, and we didn't even have live in there yet. And I said, well, Max, I'm not so sure that they have music on other planets, so let's just kind of draw that in. So we came up with
if they do, it's not as cool as like what Stevie Ray Vaughan could produce. Yeah.
So then we had our staff guy, who was a guy named Bob Meyer, who was a horn player and really good, but he worked for the city as the staff to the music commission. We had him research all the music cities to see how much live music each one had. And then we had to do it by per capita, because we had some really big cities like Los Angeles and New York compared to little bitty Austin, who wasn't really that populated at the time. But per capita, we won hands down.
Oh, okay.
And so we took it to council, and they finally adopted it as the city slogan. Then there was a time when GSD&M came up with the slogan of Idea City, and the Chamber of Commerce moved over to that for a while. But then they moved back to the Live Music Capital of the World. Now, hopefully, since they've changed the logo for the city of Austin, which is another topic that I'm hoping not to get into, I'm hoping they don't change the slogan too, because that really has brought so much attention and tourism and business and marketing and everything to the city. And we truly are. And we've got an incredible, diverse music scene here that I have learned about through different adventures that I've been on. And so that's kind of how I met Zach, through Miggy.
Zach Morgan, yeah.
Which is another funny long story. But anyway, and they're awesome, and I've found some cool hip-hop artists, which I never thought I'd be looking at hip-hop artists, and a lot of pop, and there's just some amazing musicians and a lot of young bands that are really up and coming and good, and they're gaining notoriety. I'm really excited about all that.
I feel like I mean, 2020 everyone took a hit in 2020.
Totally.
And I feel like it's taking time to kind of rebuild that branding of, live music capital of the world. And there's so much to unpack in what you just said. So when it comes to fundraising, what are some key components that kind of can translate to all of fundraising, whether it be for music industries, whether it be for, other communities?
I am more focused on music community fundraising. So we always try to incorporate music. And I've had people say to me, we're doing a fundraiser, and we've got this great caterer that we're going to pay to do this. Can you get us a band for free? And I'm going, well, if you're paying for food, why aren't you paying for music? And they said, well, they'll get exposure. And you can die from exposure is what I always say. You just be out in the cold and zap. So generally, I won't participate in that. I think unless it's something that benefits musicians and things that are really, for example, the Home, which is the nonprofit that I've been affiliated with for 13 years. We do a lot of music related fundraisers. Some of them we're able to pay the bands, and some of them we have volunteers, and a lot of our board are musicians, and of course that's how they can contribute. They may not be able to be involved in the day-to-day operations, but they sure can contribute musically when we have events. Our last one was a birthday party for me and Marcia Ball that we had at Antone's, and we had, God, I think like 17 different performers. We had solos, we had duos, bands, and Shelley King helped me put the lineup in sequence for the run of show. And about 2 days before the show, I went, oh crap, I forgot to get an MC to do the show. I said, would you like to do it? And she said, yeah, I'll do it. And she did a great job. She researched all the bands that she didn't know, and she was amazing.
So it sounds like if you're going to do a fundraiser, you need to have music.
I think so, particularly for the music related.
Sure, yeah.
Let me say this, what Home is housing opportunities for musicians and entertainers. And basically, we pay rent and or utilities for older Austin musicians. You have to be 55 or older, and you have to have played so many years, and you have to have been in Austin for so many years. And we have musicians who have had health issues that can't play. We have musicians who are maybe sidemen that aren't getting the calls so much, and just because of the cost of living in Austin has gone up so much. If you meet our criteria, there's an opportunity for us to help you.
That's another thing I was planning on getting to. Yeah, so that's a very important service. So
these are the guys that put Austin music on the map.
Yeah. So how do you get the funding for all that? Who are you reaching out to?
We get grants, and we do fundraisers.
Grants
basically.
from
from foundations
Okay.
and things like that. We also have some high level donors that are supporting, plus lots of people that want to help take care of these older musicians.
And so
We do events. We do a lot of events. We've got a series right now at the Saxon Pub that Kimmy Rhodes put together. She's on our board. She is working on our new website, which is going to be fabulous.
Awesome.
homeaustin.org, but it's not up yet, but it'll be great.
I'll throw that in the description.
Okay.
When this is.
And then we have a new executive director. We've been all volunteer run up until this year, and Hannah Kofer is our new executive director, and she is kicking butt.
So with the fund, is the city investing?
We
in
have
this?
no city funding at this
Okay.
time.
That's going to lead to my next question. So in November, the city is going to, or they're going to put it to a vote of whether or not we should raise, property taxes and stuff like that. Where do you stand on that?
I haven't read all the benefits, and I just got a copy of the League of Women Voter descriptions of all the voting, so I really haven't. I just got back from a vacation, and I've been catching up, so I haven't had time. Since the election's not till November,
right?
I'll be doing my research.
Sure, good.
I think it just depends. I know homelessness is one of the issues. I know that I don't know what music component is in there. Do you know?
I haven't read through it, but one of the reasons why I bring that up and something that concerned me is that District 5, Ryan Atler, who represents my district right here, Alter, where we live.
Yeah, me too.
He was quoted in saying that it was quoted that he spent $18,000 worth of meals. So he spent taxpayers' money, and he spent $18,000 of our taxpayer money in just meals alone. So one of the things that is on the bill is to increase their budget for travel and for meals.
Right.
And so I don't necessarily agree with that because, hey, if we have all these other issues, let's pump money into that instead of feeding your lunch break.
Yeah.
That's my own personal opinion.
I would think that whatever lobbyist is taking them to lunch should be paying for it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way it should be. And good for them if they're making those connections. But it brings up the question of as the cost of living grows, and one of them being the property taxes increasing, that affects everybody who lives here, who works here. Because if musicians are renting, well, then guess what? Their rent is going to go up because property taxes went up as an owner. So I just don't understand how they can make that work. Because
ask me back after I read it, because I have no clue what's in there. I've heard that it's happening.
Got it. And I'm very aware that as the city grows and becomes more popular, we need to invest more into our city, and that'll raise stuff. But if it's not really solving if the money that we're investing in our taxes is not solving the problems as far as homelessness goes, or as far as, all those other issues, then I just don't know. I don't feel like it's going to be helpful to raise property taxes, and it's only going to cause more stress.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. It's very interesting to watch what's going on at the national level, and it makes you wonder how much property taxes the big corporations are paying and how much exemption they have had.
That's very true.
So,
as well.
For us small homeowners, at least when you turn 65, you get to use a 65-year-old exemption. So, Yay for that.
Now, another part of the question that I have for home is a lot of these people that are needing help. Is it because of health issues? Is it because of financial issues? What are the reasons?
Both. Really.
Okay.
We have some, we've had, unfortunately, some of our clients in the past have passed away.
Yeah.
They've had some serious health issues. We have some now that have health issues. And like I said, it's just the nature of the industry. As the music scene changes and you get older, you may not get those calls as a sideman, or your band breaks up, or whatever the case might be. But you can't afford to live here, even with minimal, amounts of times that you play in a month.
Yeah.
It doesn't meet your expenses.
So do you think a proper education in, because when I was going through high school, no one ever told me about property tax. No one taught me about property tax. No one taught me about retirement plans. I just didn't get an education in that until I was...
Well, you are not alone.
Right. And so that's...
And musicians are a special breed of cat.
Yes.
They get paid in cash.
Yep.
So they don't necessarily have income from Social Security. Mm-hmm. A lot of things that happen.
And that's like spiking my anxiety level right now, because there is financial tools to help live out your days in comfort. However, it's just the education aspect of educating people about those
I think
tools.
there are some entities that provide classes, but you have to decide whether you can get the musicians to show up.
That's the thing. I
think the music office, the City of Austin Music Office, has done that. And I know in the past, I think that the Austin Music Foundation, when they were around, did a lot of workshops too. But and I think even South by Southwest offers.
Oh, okay.
I've seen panels.
Well, that's good. Just because I believe that the arts and music industry are very vital to a healthy society.
I agree.
And if we can somehow mix a little bit of capitalism, investing in your retirement, investing in stocks and stuff like that, then that could just lead to a well-rounded, healthy citizen that is also involved in the art.
One of the things that we're able to do with home, since we have, after our 13 years of being self-run volunteer, we've hired I know, I'm amazed. We've been able to hire an incredible executive director, but also an incredible social worker who can help some of our clients that maybe haven't signed up for SSI or whatever. And we also work closely with HAM as far as healthcare issues. So we kind of are running the full gamut now that we have the staff to do it. And this is so exciting for me.
Now, a lot of the reasons why people came to Austin is one, because of tech, but also because the city is so cool. Now, I have a belief that there's people out there who just don't necessarily believe in these types of organizations like Home. So how do you convince those individuals that this is a necessity?
Oh.
This is important. If you like all the cool shit here in Austin, well, this is why you should
you have
care.
to, first of all, define cool shit. You know, they may be
Continental
foodies.
Yeah, okay.
They may like to go to movies. They may not even go to music. They're outdoor people. And that's the whole thing. Back when I was on the music commission, I tried to get twice I sent letters to the mayors to just on the back of the envelope of the utility bill, which goes to every citizen in Austin, whether you own a home or rent a home, just put something like support live music, go out and hear bands, you know. It didn't ever happen, but I suggested it twice. I can't even remember which mayors I did it to now. But, you know, some people listen to me, some people don't.
Yeah. So how many active members do you have in Home right now that are utilizing this service?
We started with Miss Lavelle. Okay. She was our first, and she's still under our care. And recently I have gone to court and become her legal guardian. So she's my girl.
Do these members not have any family members? Are they just
most do. You know, some are married, but they're just in financial straits. But currently, we started with Miss Lavelle 13 years ago. We currently have, I think, 36 or 37 clients that we pay monthly rent, which is expensive. We don't pay some we pay a portion, some we pay their utilities. We have a whole formula designed to determine what we can contribute to what their needs are.
Okay. Well,
and so I can see plus during COVID and even currently, we also have what we call our emergency grant, which is a one-time payment of $500 for people that get into a bind. Our monthly payments that we do, which is our long-term grants, we pay directly to the landlord and not to the client. So we make sure that their rent is paid. The emergency grant, we send directly to the client. So if you take into consideration all of those we've done over the years, we've served over 300 people.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's good. Makes me feel happy and warm and fuzzy all over.
Good.
Even though I'm grumpy sometimes.
Well, I think everyone has a right to be grumpy, but as long as you're enjoying some little bit of life, then that's...
yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a partnership with HEB, and we are doing live shows in 2 of their stores.
Which ones?
We do Lake Austin Boulevard the first Wednesday of every month, okay. And that's a happy hour show because they have a bar in the barbecue restaurant where we have the bands. So we've been doing that since May, and we're extended through May. And then also the new store on Old Torf and South Congress, we do a lunchtime, not happy hour because they don't have a bar, but a lunchtime show from 11 to 1 the third Saturday of the month.
Wow, you are really backing by what you stand in or saying in that.
And those
live musical capital of the world
are great because HEB has given us money, and they've included in that money we get to pay the bands a little something. So that's really good.
How much cooler can HEB get, man? They're
my faves.
Yeah,
I just love HEB.
Absolutely. So when it comes to these organizations that are helping individuals, is there a sense of character in which like they might be abusing or not abusing the funds that are coming to them? Do you ever deal with that?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like, so I guess what I'm asking is, are you helping the situation or are you enabling the situation?
I think pretty much we're helping. Okay. You know, you can't judge an entire program on 1 or 2 people. And we do have guidelines that we adhere to for approving people. And one thing that we started doing that we had not done in the past, we just say, okay, we're going to help you with your rent. We'll help you next year, and we'll help you the next year. Now, each one of our clients has to reapply each year because a lot of times their circumstances have changed. And I know for a fact that we've had 2 clients that have inherited money, and they found that they didn't need our help anymore, and they've come to us and said, hey, thanks so much for getting me out of the bind, but now I can take care of myself, so you don't need to help anymore. And that's really rewarding, too.
So there's constant circumstantial evidence that
Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
Because I know, I don't know if you want to call them conservatives or whatever, but there's a sense of, from the conservative side, that like all of these, I don't know, welfare systems are not really helping the situation. It's only enabling it. But when it comes to smaller...
if you've got somebody who can no longer hold their guitar and play, I don't think we're enabling at all. I think we're helping them get through life.
That's very true. Yeah. So how do you see the music industry here in Austin as it stands now in 2025?
I think it's changing like crazy.
Changing how? Good way, bad way?
I'm not sure. I think it's changing geographically. There's a lot more music happening on the east side. I think that there's a lot more hip-hop, pop, more diverse musicians, people of color, which is great. And the genres are changing. I see more, bands with horns, and that kind of even changing. But when I first moved here, it was progressive country, and there's still that, but it's not even that anymore. It's, more Americana. It's new bands that have new focuses, which I think are good.
If a tourist is coming to Austin, what venues are you taking them to?
Well, it depends on many factors, because it depends like how old they are and what they want to see. But generally, it's old people like me. So we go to the Saxon, we go to Sea Boys, Continental Club, and Antone's are my go-to places.
Yeah.
And primarily because I can park, too.
The parking is kind of a rough spot at Saxon Pub. Yeah. I know when I go to shows there, I park kind of considerable far distance away from the venue and just walk it in. One, to get my steps in, but 2, I just don't want to do the whole rigmarole.
I try to go early before the show starts and get a spot.
So do you think like venues like the Saxon Pub need to have more, I hate to say this, more youthful acts there to kind
They
of...
are getting a lot of youthful acts there.
Okay.
And Jody, Joe Abel's daughter, is now booking it, and she's really doing a good job.
Good. Okay.
She's got a lot more diversity in the age groups and everything.
I did notice that but
it's still a good place for us geezers to go.
I do appreciate that, because the older crowd really listens. The shows that I go to there that are who did I see last? I think I saw Dave Scher there last time. And it was an older crowd, but man, did they listen? They were not on their phones. Well, I take that back. They were on their phones, but to get videos of the performance.
They have the Friday night show with, it used to be Denny Freeman, but Eve Monsey has taken over, and she's young, but she, plays all the old classics, and it's a great band, and I call that geezer night because everybody, it's just true.
You guys are home by 9:00?
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, that's a good night. To go to a show.
Starting a show early is a really good thing, in my opinion.
I know.
Whether you're old or young.
No, me and my wife, there's some bands that we follow, and then we find out they're playing at like 11 p.m. I'm like, what? Do they understand that we have lives?
When I was younger and lived in New Orleans, I never went out until it was 11 p.m.,
Those were the days,
But not here. It's, like I'm trying to be asleep by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Unless I go out, and I do go out a lot.
So when did you start to notice that that Austin was changing?
That's a good question. I have to think about that for a minute.
Because now,
I think there was a big divide when COVID hit. I think that really instituted a lot of change, because I know for home, for example, we couldn't do any live shows, but we did a streaming show called home cooking for the holidays. And we had all of our musician friends, everybody from Band of Heathens and Raul Malo and Delbert McClinton, and then some of our local people. They would send us videos. We even got a shout out from Ringo Starr, which was very cool. We streamed these events, and it was part of our fundraising capability because you couldn't go out and do a live event at that time.
Now, what do you think of the internet these days?
What about it?
Well,
that's a very,
very
broad
loaded question. I get it.
question.
Well, you just said that because of your streaming services, you were able to generate, money for your organization. But with the power of the internet comes also some, downsides to it, just like echo chambers and people being mean. So how do you see the overall concept of the internet? And
well, that's how music is spread now.
Yeah.
That's radio stations are in decline.
Mm-hmm.
The streaming services, which totally rip off artists, are very popular. Spotify and all the others that I can't even think of because there's so many of them. And my friend Brian Keene just started a really cool streaming service whose name is Playola. Like Playoola, and it's kind of for like the Red Dirt bands and all that. So check it out. It's really cool.
We'll do.
And Brian was one of the first musicians that I really started listening to his lyrics, and he played the airport all the time, and he's just a really creative guy.
Now, I think it was Zach Morgan who told me that you were the one who created the music program at the airport.
Well, kind of.
Okay.
I had moved to Johnson City for a short period of time and opened up a restaurant with my former best friend.
Oh, no.
Emphasis on the former.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a friend that said being in the restaurant business is like being married to a bitch who hates your guts. And that's pretty close. But anyway, it's a hard business. But anyway, I came back to Austin and I got on the new airport terminal task force.
Yeah.
I was vice chair of that. And we're the ones that recommended that they have live music in the airport and that we had local artisans work on the decor. For example, the handrails in a lot of the parts of the airport were crafted by a blacksmith kind of
Really?
guy.
Okay.
If you look a lot like around the stage by the, well, I don't even know. Everything's changed so much.
Yeah.
Since I've been gone from the airport since the end of 2013.
Okay.
So it could be all changed, but we recommended that they only have local Austin restaurants and bars and shops, which happened for the longest time, and then they broke through and brought in national companies.
Like who? I'm
Uh,
trying to think. I didn't remember seeing-
there are several.
Okay.
Vino, I think, is one.
That's a chain?
I think so.
Oh, wow. Okay. Huh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know.
I've been gone. But anyway, and what was the question? I got distracted.
Yeah, the music program at the airport.
Yeah, well, okay, so
You had a hand in that.
we recommended that they have live music. And one of the concessionaires, Delaware North, who is run by the local manager or director, Terry Malum, who is a huge music supporter, he started the music program in his bars.
Okay.
And there was a temporary person running the music until I got hired as a part-time music coordinator
Yeah.
in 1999, I think.
Okay.
And we had 2 shows a week. One of them was in the big bar in the middle of the airport. At that time, it was called Highland Lakes Bar. And we decided we'd do a Sunday jazz brunch, which was a great idea, except that was a big football day, so nobody wanted to listen to music. They wanted the football games on TV.
Yeah.
But anyway, it expanded, and then they opened up the little Waterloo record store, and they were having music in there. And we opened it with Rachel Loy, who is like a phenomenal musician, bass player, who subsequently moved to Nashville and played with a bunch of stars and is in high demand for recording studio stuff. And it was her first airport gig, and I've had a lot of people that say, you were my first gig in Austin at the airport, because we didn't have to have people that had a big draw, because we had a captive audience. We just had to have people that sounded good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of my rule of thumb was, if you don't suck, you can play. But I guess I shouldn't say that.
No, you can say whatever you want. This is
Okay.
America. Say what you want. I will say that there's only been 3 airports in which I've seen, and I've been to a lot of them this year because I was on tour with a musician, no big deal, Vincent Antone, who's also friends with Zach Morgan. Really good friends.
Okay.
Anyways, so he took me on tour, and we were in different cities throughout, the summer, spring, and we visited a bunch of airports, and there was only, at the time, one other airport that had live music, and that was Nashville.
Yes.
And that made sense. Since then, I went into Jacksonville, and they had a piano player, so I would consider that
New
as
Orleans. I set up the music program in New Orleans. Yes, and Oklahoma City
Okay.
as a consultant. And
Do they have live musicians now?
Yes,
Okay.
but in New Orleans they built a whole new terminal. So what I set up with the restaurants in the areas, that's gone. I mean, they bulldozed that terminal and built a new one, but they still have live music in different spots.
Okay,
there.
well, that's good to know.
Yeah. And I think Albuquerque has occasional live music, and it's more maybe holiday music.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I was just there in July, and I didn't see any live music, and we spent a significant time in the airport, too.
It's the time of day that you go, because there's not going to have much music in the morning.
Sure.
Because how many musicians are going to come out in the morning?
Well, if you pay them enough money.
Well, there you go.
And so, with the music program, who's funding it at the airport?
Mostly the vendors that have
Vendors?
it.
Okay.
Delaware North has the bulk of the music.
Got it.
And he is responsible, Terry Malum, for growing the music program in the Austin airport, because he'd open up a new venue like, oh gosh, I can't think of the football player that had those.
Did he go to UT?
Yes. I'm blanking on his name.
Does he make like
sausage?
beef jerky? Yeah.
See, you're
God,
as bad as me.
I know.
And I'm way older than you.
Yeah. Oh,
Earl
man,
Campbell.
There you go, man.
So Earl, we had music in the Earl Campbell bar. And Terry said, we're opening up a bar. I want more music. Every time he'd open something, or he'd say, we've only got 2 shows a week in this bar. Let's add some more.
Why is he wanting more?
Because it increased the ambiance of the space, but it also generated more income. They make more money when there's music in the bar.
Can you say that again?
They make more money when the music is in the bar at the airport. He's broken it down. In the very beginning, we asked him to look at the numbers, and he did. And it hasn't changed. And that's a great thing for the airport, because the airport gets a percentage of what the venues make in the airport. It's like such a no-brainer. I don't even understand why they...
I'm very familiar with that Earl Campbell stage, because the beers there are very, very expensive, and I still can't stop myself or help myself from getting a beer at that place. But that is very interesting that there's a direct correlation with having live music, and then all of a sudden you get more business.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because people are already in the airport, and they're stressed from traveling, and they want a little respite, and so they can sit in the seats by the gate, or they can go across to the bar and have a beer and enjoy the music.
Absolutely.
And the musicians benefit too, because they get their music, they get to sell CDs, their music goes all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing.
So we got about 10 minutes left in this hour, and I want to, be mindful of your time.
Okay,
So last question.
Okay.
So I had a very interesting conversation with Dave Scher, and he exposed me to the idea that musicians can now create an alias email, meaning that instead of Ramon Mejia at music.org, whatever, it would be, instead of using that name, they would use like manager for manager at RamonMejiaMusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that has gained entry into more bookings, because I guess bookers look for managers as opposed to musicians.
Well, if you have, go ahead.
And then I was going to say, so that was one tip that I learned in this conversation. So what are some tips you can give to musicians to get more bookings with venues?
Oh, God.
If you have any insight.
Well, It depends. At the airport, you don't have to have a fan base.
You just can't suck.
And you can't suck, but you don't have to have a following because there's a built-in audience. If you're booking trying to play the Saxon Pub or a venue, you need to have a following and bring people in, because if you bring in 4 people and they order 2 beers and a Diet Coke, people don't seem to understand that the venues have an overhead. They've got rent, they've got utilities, they've got staff to pay. And if you bring a lot of people in and their money is basically generated from the bar, that's a good thing. If you don't, there's only so many times you're going to get booked until they say, well, we'd love to have you, but.
Yeah. So musicians need to develop a following.
They do. And
so
social media is the greatest tool to do that. And when I book the Armadillo Christmas Bazaar, those are some of the things that we look at, because now when I book it, we book by committee. I am no longer the chief cook and bottle washer booking person. We have booking meetings with the producers.
So when you are looking at a following, followers can be bought. So what other metrics within a social media following are you looking at?
We look at Spotify plays. We look at followers on Instagram and Facebook. And then we also look at the venues they play, because if they're playing a well-known venue that we know books quality acts, we know that they're probably somewhere at the level. We also look at people we know that we've had in the past that, are consistent with their showmanship and their ability to draw a crowd, and their music, which is whether it's really good and pleasing or not. Now, with the Christmas Bazaar, they like to have upbeat music.
Sure.
Keeps the people happy as they're shopping. And we've tried all kinds of different bands. We bring back the bands that we feel bring a lot to the show. Yeah. Okay. And we consider them family.
Awesome. Well, Nancy, this has been the most entertaining and educating podcast I've had to date. So thank you for your time.
Really?
It has been.
Wow.
Yes,
Do I get like a gold star in my chart?
You'll get tens of views on this podcast. No. This has been very insightful, and I think the musicians that do watch this podcast are going to get a lot out of it. And this has been really entertaining.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about home, because it's very important to me.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm glad I was able to provide this platform for you. So
yeah,
that's all I got. And yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless.
Go out and support live music and tip your bands.
Amen.